When I was asked, I said that it is the CPIM and personally myself have always held religion in very high respect. We will safeguard and protect the right of every individual to their choice of faith. But religion cannot be politicized and be an instrument of state policy. The state in India, the constitution is very clear, does not either profess or patronize any religion. But here this function is going to be, the inauguration is going to be done by the Prime Minister of India in the presence of the UP Chief Minister and maybe other constitutional, those who are holding constitutional positions. We think this is the gross misuse of the religious sentiments of the people for their political purposes. This is the open politicization of religion, which is not in consonance with the Constitution of India or the Supreme Court rulings. So we are very clear about it. So I very courteously regretted that I would not be able to accept the invitation. That is the first point. The second issue I'd like to mention is about this entire question of the latest Apple notifications, alert notifications that I had also received at that time. And I was also instructed by the Apple to take certain precautionary measures on my phones and instruments in order to ensure that this sort of intrusion does not continue. Subsequently, the amnesty also investigated. They confirmed that this has happened. And taking the precautions, but the point is not only on this particular instance of this alert. Earlier also, when the Pegasus issue came up, the government of India was equivocal. It neither said that it engaged Pegasus, because Pegasus can be engaged only by the governments. That the Israeli authority has made it very clear. Neither did he deny engaging the Pegasus spyware. And the Supreme Court is on record to say that they regret that the government did not cooperate with their investigation. So this is a clear admission that they are using the spyware. And they are targeting many of us, including me. That is not unexpected. But this is not an isolated incident. In this town of Kannur, in April 2022, when we had our party Congress, in the political resolution of the party Congress, there is a section, if you go through it, saying that the architecture of the surveillance state. This is the title of that section. And there we had mentioned that it is not only the intrusion and spying on political opponents and journalists and all those who dissent with the government, but it is also setting up a larger architecture. And now that has come with the telecom bill. It has come with your postal bill, where the state has the authority to actually intercept, intervene, and to completely control the movements. It's a total surveillance state. And on top of that have come these criminal laws, the new criminal laws, which they claim that it's a decolonization of these criminal laws, but it is actually a recolonization. It's not decolonization, it's a recolonization that is taking place through these laws. And the very, very serious issues that have been brought in when all of them were suspended When there was nobody there from the opposition in the parliament, these were passed. And this has very dangerous implications for personal liberty and dignity, which is a fundamental right protected by the Constitution. So this is a surveillance state that has been put in place. And it is not merely an intrusion of our privacy, which it is, but it is much more than that. It's much more than that. It is a surveillance state where everything is being monitored. Even conversations. Nowadays, political conversations between people take place mostly on the social media. It's no longer discussions in coffee houses and the tea shops, but it's on the social media. To register on the social media, you've got to give your biometric data. You have to upload your, so everything is monitored. So this is a frightening surveillance state that has been put in place. The third aspect I would like to talk about is the fact that there is a lot of propaganda going on about India's economy, that it is a vibrant economy and that is growing. As far as the people are concerned, this has been a period, the last 10 years, the worst period in terms of their livelihood concerns. Unemployment is at the highest. This government has been doing a lot of data fudging, manipulation of data, and now they have added a new category in the employment thing of unpaid labor, which is the largest component of your employed statistics that the government puts on. What is this unpaid labor? The unpaid household labor is added as being employed. People are doing their own work which are not paid for, but they are considered employed. They are doing their own work which are not paid for because there is no jobs to go and get. And therefore the demographic dividend that India has, that is being converted into a demographic liability. And this, along with your price rise, and now with a blooming crisis in agriculture, your pulses production has fallen, your wheat production is not sufficient in the sense that's why exports have been banned, and now you are allowing imports to come in. Now this is a very serious situation, and as far as industry is concerned, its inability to grow is because there is no domestic demand. People don't have the money or the purchasing power. It's confined to a very small section. The bulk of the Indian people, the actual purchasing power is declining, and when there is no demand, there won't be future investment. And the government's own projections for this fiscal year, the proposals for new investments have come down by nearly more than 70%, both in the private and in the governmental sector. Your FDI in the last fiscal, they have estimated it to have declined by 74%. So in spite of all this, you have great bombastic claims that they are saying that we will be the third largest economy in the world in Mr. Modi's third term. That is his great propaganda. No, we will be the third largest GDP in the world in 2027 on the basis of the statistical growth of our GDP and the statistical growth of your now fourth countries, their growth rate will be slower than our growth rate, which the government produces. And you had the same chief statistician of India Mr. Pranab Sen, who is on record to say that these GDP figures are suspect and the way they are being calculated. But even by that calculation, if you go by that calculation, India doesn't require Mr. Modi to be the third largest GDP in the world in 2027. It will happen, whoever is the Prime Minister or whichever government is there. But the fact remains that in terms of per capita income, we are at number 142 out of 180 countries. We have the lowest per capita. You had the G20 summit. We have the lowest per capita income of all the G20 countries. We have the lowest HDI index rating of all the 20 countries. And we have the lowest labor force participation rate, which is been translated into unemployment amongst all these 20 countries. That is the reality. Not one of the targets of Make in India campaign in the last 10 years, not one has been met. So the sum total of all these things, people's miseries are growing. And unemployment, price rise, hunger, etc. Global indices the government dismisses, saying that we won't accept them. And in this sort of a situation, the struggles of the working people, even in this period of the run-up to the elections, are bound to intensify. And that is something which will have an impact on the outcome of the 2024 elections. So these are the three main issues I want to raise before you. Now, if you want any questions.
Regarding Pegasus, what is your next step? What is your legal options are very limited? Regarding Pegasus. Yeah. What is your next step?
What is the next step? The Supreme Court, the government does not cooperate. And therefore, I mean, you have to take the precautions, and the Apple is given instructions about precautions to be taken. And they're constantly updating their networks, their technology. So let us see what it is. But then the fact remains it's not only Pegasus. I said the whole architecture of the surveillance state. If not Pegasus, they have other methods now to find out what you are up to.
You are saying that you and the opposition leaders and the journalists are targeted by central government through these Pegasus. That's your point.
No, that is what is the point that the Apple alerts have shown. I didn't know that I was targeted till Apple alerted, saying that somebody is gone into it, and then it gave directions on what to do, how to protect, and they do their software updates in order to protect against this, which is what we'll have to follow.
But in the case of 𝒂𝒉, Congress is decided to attend the function. But in the Kerala unit, they don't even given an opinion, or they didn't reveal any decision about that. They are in a dilemma actually in Kerala. Then how can you see this difference of opinion between the sides?
I mean, I cannot solve other parties' dilemmas. No, it is up to them that they should decide. Because after all, as I maintain that religion, as far as we are concerned, is something that is a very holy bond between one individual and whomever that individual feels is the supreme, the supreme authority of this entire existence. Now that choice, like you put it in Sanskrit, is the Atman and the Brahman relationship. That is religion. That is a very holy, sanctified, relationship. Whom that Atman believes is the Brahman. It could be any religion, or it could be an atheist also. That is an individual decision of each individual, which we respect, which we protect. So it's for the other parties to decide. And I don't know who has been invited. From what I have been informed, that they have confined the invitations only to the national political parties. Not invited others. That's what I was informed when I was given the invitation. So I don't know who's been invited and who's
what will be the impact of this opening ceremony of this Ram Mandir? What will be the impact in Indian politics?
They are, as I said, they are misusing and exploiting people's religious sentiments for their political objectives. That is what they want to maximize the impact.
Any immediate impact in the coming parliament election or something like
That's
that?
what they are doing all this with that aim, to try and gain in the parliament elections because of this. But I am sure anybody who is actually religious will also realize that their religious faith, this thing, is being exploited for a political gain.
Have you any strategy to counter this? Any
Sorry?
strategy you have formulated to counter this with type of propaganda?
Well, strategy has to be a strict adherence to your secular principles. The strategy is very clearly saying that this constitution, on the basis of which even this government is in office, this constitution very clearly talks about the fact that secularism is the separation of religion from politics and from the state. All religions will be given their both respect and their legality to operate. That your constitution itself gives you the guarantee, the right to practice and profess and propagate your religion. The constitution gives you the right. So in accordance with that, the country and politics must be run. So that is what, it has to be a strict adherence to secularism. You cannot combat this sort of a religious fundamentalism or this Hindutva offensive by being a soft Hindutva or a soft saffron approach.
With the BJP firing from all guns, do you think the India alliance will be enough to counter them in the coming parliament elections?
I think so. Unless they are, let us see how the things develop or unfold before 2024 election. But the India formation, today if you see actually the seats that were won by the BJP in the last election and the states where they won those maximum number of seats and the situation today, there is a very, very big difference that goes against the BJP in terms of arithmetic, political arithmetic. Whether it's in Karnataka, whether it's in even in North Indian states, whether it's in Maharashtra, whether it's in Bihar, in many of these states, the ground reality is such that for them to repeat, they have maximized the number of MPs in these states in the past, in the last election. That will not be the case now. So, the seat sharing, talks between the constituents of the India bloc, we had decided will take place state-wise, because each state has its own separate characteristic. Like in Kerala, it will be the 𝒉𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒉, basically. That is what keeps the BJP out of both the parliament and the assembly.
Sir, but still it is not an alliance. We are still saying it's a bloc.
Which one?
This India is still not an alliance.
Yes, it's a bloc, because where is the alliance in Kerala? The India alliance can't be there in Kerala, and it won't be there in certain other states, like in Bengal, like in other places. So it is a constituents of the India combined. And therefore, state-wise, it will happen. Your neighbor, Tamil Nadu, there is a complete unity of secular forces. Here, you have the UDF-LDF. In Maharashtra, next door, you have the Maharashtra 𝒃𝒂𝒂𝒃𝒂𝒂𝒃, which includes the 𝒂𝒂𝒃𝒂𝒃𝒂𝒃 Shiv Sharad Pawar NCP, the Congress and the left parties. In Bihar, you have the Mahagathbandhan, which has the JDU, the RJD, the Congress and the left parties. In Assam, for instance, you have the entire unity of all the secular parties. So likewise, state-wise, it will happen. And those talks are ongoing now.
And not in Kerala.
Hmm?
And not in Kerala.
No, Kerala, it is clearly UDF-LDF. Both, we also want, they also want, the whole India group wants it to be UDF-LDF, because that is the surest guarantee that you will not have the BJP forget the parliament, even in the assembly.
But the last
I mean-
5 state assembly election, that was increasing their confidence.
I'm sorry?
The last 5 state assembly election, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, that has increased the BJP's confidence.
Well, that is, well, you see, I've been now old enough in politics to remember in 2003, the BJP won all these states, like they won this time. And that's why Mr. Vajpayee advanced the parliament election. What should have been towards closer to the festive season, parliament elections, were advanced, brought to April. Because he was confident, having won these states, he'll win the parliament election. But then he lost. You had Dr. Manmohan Singh government that lasted for 10 years. And in last elections, 2018, Congress won all these states. Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh. Congress had won all of them. And in 2019, it lost the election. So, how people will respond, the electorate will respond. I don't think we can draw conclusions from it, because the Indian electorate has become more mature. How they see the state elections and how they see the parliament election. I mean, there's also a lot of difference. And they also act and vote accordingly.
And CPIM, whether CPIM is considering the rethinking on the participation in the Coordination Committee of India?
Sorry?
Whether CPIM is rethinking on its participation in India?
No, all the discussions and decisions will be taken by the topmost leaders of all the constituents of India. That's why we said there is no point in having these committees. And that in practice it's happening. The decisions are being taken by the consultation with all the top leaders of the constituents. Yes, sir.
Coming to Kerala, what do you think?
No, I'm in Kerala now, so don't have to come now. You talk about the country.
What do you think now Kerala is benefit for the government or will it benefit for the government, Kerala government?
I think so. This is a very unique experiment. I mean, it's not happened before in anywhere else, that the entire cabinet goes out to meet the people, listen to them, and then establish an apparatus through which whatever you have received from the people, that they are actually tackled, they are addressed. No, I think it's a very unique experiment in governance, which will go down very well. I mean, as I said, there's one more example of how Kerala shows the way to the rest of the country. It is the government going to the people. It's not really people petitioning the government. Going, learning from the people what is wrong, what needs to be solved. I think it's a very good, positive thing.
One more question about Ramakshetra. One more question about Ramakshetra. BJP leaders, including the Union Minister, latest by 𝒂𝒊𝒅𝒆𝒃, pointing out one thing that Sitaram Yechury has Sita and Ram in his name. This is not a right practice to not to attend this function. They are quoting from your name.
They must realize, including 𝒂𝒊𝒅𝒆𝒃, whose father was a good father, and he, both of the family, good friends, they should realize that the position that I am taking is only because I am named Sitaram. And the fact is that is when even the Almighty, even when you believe in, gives you the right to choose your own faith. The Bhagavad Gita says this, Vishnu in his full form, comes and says that I will protect every person in whichever faith he or she may choose. Now, so therefore they must realize that what they are doing is actually the opposite of what? The faith that they are claiming to be. And that's why when they say Jai Shri Ram, I always say Jai Siya Ram. Siya Ram is Sitaram. That is right. So it is because of my name Sitaram that I have moved forward to realize what is the actual essence of what religiosity and religion means. and which is very similar to the Srinarayan Guru's philosophical understanding that is the oneness of humanity. It's human, basically, it's the oneness of humanity. So my appeal to them is also saying that do not misuse people's religious sentiments for your political gains. That is the greatest disservice you are doing to religions.
In the political parties of India, India friend, in the political parties of India friend also talking different stand about the Ram.
Yeah, they will be there. That's why they are different parties. Otherwise, we'll all be one party. There are no differences.
Congress is the leading party in India Munnani. So do you have no concern about Congress stand on Ram Temple issue?
What concern?
Any concern? Yeah.
You see, on this there is no question of being concerned. Every party has its right to decide on what should be its approach. We have decided on the basis of our understanding and our basis. So the other parties, they'll have to take the decision. And nobody should impose these decisions on anybody, unlike the BJP is doing. That should not be done. Okay?
When we start
Right.
seat sharing talks,
I'm sorry?
when we start the seat sharing talks,
Huh?
When will you are going to initiate the seat sharing process?
It's going on. The talks are on, already on at state level. The talks are on, and I'm sure very shortly you will hear the results of it, and it will be state-wise, where we'll be fighting what.
In Bengal, will there be any understanding with Mamata?
No. As that way you said, in Bengal, it's the Congress left and secular forces against, to defeat the BJP and against Mamata. There's a very high anti-incumbency against Mamata. If everybody unites, the advantage goes to the BJP. Okay? Thank you.